Scrolling through social media lately, it feels like every headline is screaming at you, trying to get you mad about something. Ever notice how much of what goes viral just seems designed to make your blood boil? There's a term for that. Rage bait.
It's actually wild how calculated it is. Rage bait isn't just random venting, it's content crafted specifically to trigger outrage, because that's what drives the most clicks and shares. The goal isn't debate or understanding. It's to spark emotional reactions that keep us glued to our feeds.
Exactly. And what blows my mind is how it's not just about stirring the pot for fun. There's a very real intent to manipulate, not just to boost traffic, but sometimes even to sway public opinion. The classic move is using a headline like, "Shocking Truth Revealed About," that hooks into our anxieties or existing beliefs.
That's the recipe, right? Target a group's biases, frame it as some urgent injustice, and suddenly you've got thousands of angry shares even when the actual content might be flimsy or misleading. And here's the kicker. It's not just people falling for it. The platforms themselves make it worse.
You mean how algorithms reward outrage? It's like the angrier people get, the more visible the content becomes. So even if the original post isn't that big, all those heated comments and arguments actually boost its reach.
Absolutely. It's kind of like emotional dominoes. The more outrage you see, the more you feel it yourself. There's real psychology behind this, like emotional contagion. If enough people are angry in the comments, suddenly everyone's swept up in it, which honestly can get exhausting.
It's easy to think, oh, I'd never fall for rage bait. But the reality is, we're all wired for it. Our brains love shortcuts. Confirmation bias makes us hunt for anything that supports what we already believe. And rage bait is designed to serve us exactly that.
That's so true, and when you mix in group identity, it gets even trickier. People want to defend their side, so if a piece of content threatens that group, it's like hitting a nerve. Suddenly, sharing or reacting isn't just about an argument, it's about loyalty.
And it's not just personal psychology at play. The way social media platforms are built creates these echo chambers. The more you engage with outrage, the more the algorithm serves you similar stuff, until your entire feed is one big anger loop.
What's scary is how it isolates us too. You end up surrounded by people who already agree with you, getting more and more entrenched in one perspective. It's like building a digital fortress around your beliefs, and rage bait is the battering ram that keeps the walls high.
That actually reminds me, comment sections might be the wildest part. They were supposed to be places for discussion, but now they're battlegrounds. The nastier or more reactive a comment, the more it gets bumped to the top, pulling more people into the fray.
And it's not just politics. Even marketing taps into this. Brands use emotional triggers, sometimes subtle, sometimes in your face, to get us talking, arguing, or defending. Outrage sells, whether it's sneakers or news headlines.
It's tempting to blame all of this on smartphones or the latest apps, but the roots go way deeper. The tactics behind rage bait actually come from decades-old propaganda playbooks. Think PR pioneers like Edward Bernays and military psychological operations.
What's fascinating is how those techniques evolved. Back in the day, it was about controlling the narrative during war or selling products at home. Bernays, for example, understood how powerful emotions like fear and especially anger could be in shaping public opinion.
And if you fast forward to the Cold War era, it gets even more intense. Military papers literally talked about perception as the new battlefield. The goal wasn't just to win wars, it was to control how people felt and thought, often without them realizing it.
I mean, today, you don't even need a government to do this. Social platforms have kind of democratized emotional manipulation. The same psychological principles are now built into the apps we use every day, only now, it's for engagement and ad dollars instead of national security.
Funny enough, the real innovation isn't forcing anyone to believe something. It's making people want to engage, and sometimes even opt in over and over again, all while their emotions get amped up and their attention gets sold off to the highest bidder. There's this wild study from the 1,970 seconds that basically exposed how a single TV channel changed an entire town. Before TV arrived, kids in no-tell were objectively calmer. After TV showed up, more fighting, more shouting aggression shot up across the board.
What's so striking is that it wasn't about violent shows or controversial content, just the constant stimulation. Their brains and bodies became more reactive. Psychologists call it heightened arousal, basically being on emotional standby all the time.
Fast forward to now and it's like no-tell times 1,000. Instead of one channel, we have infinite feeds, all engineered to keep us on edge. Viral videos, hot takes, outrage headlines, there's always something pushing us to react instantly.
And with so many platforms fighting for our attention, the volume just keeps going up. The more emotionally wound up we are, the longer we stay online. And that means more data, more ads, and honestly, more opportunity for rage bait to thrive.
What happened in that one small Canadian town is now happening on a global scale. Only this time, there's no off switch. We're all living in no-tell, but with 1 million channels and no escape from the cycle of outrage. So, with all this swirling around us, what can we actually do? Is there a way to avoid getting sucked into the outrage machine every time we open our phones?
It's not easy, but just being aware of how rage bait works is a huge start. If something online makes you instantly furious, that's usually a red flag. Taking a breath, checking the source, and asking yourself who benefits from your outrage can really help.
I love that. It's like giving your brain a speed bump. Don't just react. Pause and reflect. Sometimes, even waiting a few minutes before sharing or commenting is enough to break that automatic cycle.
And honestly, seeking out different perspectives, even if you don't agree with them, can loosen the grip of those algorithmic echo chambers. It's not about never feeling emotion online, but about not letting someone else weaponize your feelings for their own gain.
If more of us practice that kind of digital mindfulness, maybe we'd see less performative outrage and more real conversation. Because at the end of the day, that's what the internet could be. A place for actual understanding, not just endless bait and reaction. You know, most people think all this emotional manipulation kicked off with smartphones, infinite scrolling, endless notifications, all that. But it actually started way before we ever had a touchscreen in our pocket.
Yeah, it's wild people forget that the roots go back almost a century to when public relations was just a shiny new word for propaganda. Back then, experts like Edward Bernays weren't hiding anything. Manipulation was the entire point.
It's almost unsettling. Bernays openly said mass opinion could and should be guided. He borrowed from his uncle Freud, too, so the psychology behind it was no accident. The real trick wasn't just to sell you a product, but to rewire what you felt, what you believed.
And what gets me is, this wasn't just about commercials or billboards. After World War I, when governments wanted to calm restless populations, Bernays showed them how to do it. Control the story, tap into fear or rage, make people feel like they had a choice even when they didn't.
That actually reminds me, by the 50 seconds, the U.S. military was knee-deep in studying psychological operations, or PSYOPs. It was less about brute force, more about getting into people's heads and shifting how they saw reality.
What's so eerie is that those tactics, once meant for battlefields, started showing up in everyday life, like 𝐊𝐞𝐲. Colonel 𝐊𝐞𝐲 argued that victory wasn't about winning ground, but winning perception. If you could control how people felt, you didn't need to fire a shot.
Exactly. And now, instead of secret agents or classified experiments, platforms do the heavy lifting. The algorithm serves up content tailored to keep us feeling triggered, angry, afraid, defensive. You don't even realize you're being pulled in.
Funny thing is, people opt into it. No need for brainwashing labs or black ops anymore. We're swiping, scrolling, feeding our minds endless streams of outrage or validation. The battlefield's not some far-off place, it's right inside our own heads, every time we check our phones.
I've had something like that pop into my mind when reading about 𝐊𝐞𝐲, the CIA's notorious mind control project. The stuff they did is almost unbelievable. Patients stuck in rooms, bombarded with messages and drugs, all in the name of rebuilding the mind.
It's honestly chilling. What's even more disturbing is that, while those experiments ended at least officially, their core ideas just evolved. Today, the repetition and identity attacks happen digitally. Instead of being forced to listen to tapes, we're caught in cycles of outrage on social media, and we don't even notice it's happening.
Right, and the new methods are so much subtler. You're not tied down in a lab, you're just glued to your screen. The content comes in waves, poking at your identity, then rewarding you with likes or shares if you react the way the platform wants.
And the wild part is, this all runs on a simple formula. If your rage makes your responses predictable, you become valuable data. Platforms aren't showing you what's true, they're showing you what keeps you hooked. Rage isn't just a side effect, it's the business model.
After hearing all that, I keep thinking about that experiment in Notel, British Columbia. Imagine growing up in a town with zero TV, no news, no cartoons, not even static. Then suddenly, TV arrives, and researchers start tracking how kids behave.
Yeah, and the results were stunning. The moment TV hit, kids got more aggressive, fighting, shouting, just amped up in general, and it didn't matter what they watched. It was the sheer exposure, the constant input, that changed their behavior.
That's the kicker. It wasn't even about violent shows. It was just the heightened state of arousal from always having something on. The more they watched, the quicker they were to react, to lash out. Even the calmest kids shifted.
Makes you wonder if just one channel could do that. What's happening to us with endless social feeds, viral videos, and outrage headlines? We're all living in Notel now, except our exposure is nonstop and way more intense.
Could you unpack how these platforms actually profit from keeping us so emotionally fired up? I mean, it seems almost too obvious once you lay it out.
Glad you asked, because it's all about engagement. The longer you stay, the more ads you see. And nothing keeps people around like outrage. Our brains are practically wired to stick with whatever makes us mad or anxious.
So when we're feeling defensive or wound up, we're actually more profitable? That's almost dystopian.
It really is. The system rewards content that spikes emotion, so your timeline becomes a minefield of things designed to provoke you. Even if you know what's happening, it's tough to resist because the algorithms have gotten so good at pressing those psychological buttons.
And the scariest part? There's no off switch. The Notel kids could go outside and leave the TV behind. For us, there's always a new feed, a new notification, so the cycle just keeps going, reshaping how everyone thinks and feels.